Of course, stick drift is the #1 issue, but I've also seen some other issues, especially with my Elite Series 1 controller. If you guys are like me, you've probably experienced some flaws when it comes to your Xbox controllers. And this unfortunately is not limited to only a very specific type of controller. A lot of these issues seem to kind of percolate all through the Xbox controller world. Stick drift, of course, being the #1 issue that most YouTubers in general have commented on. Now, I personally think that in general, the Xbox controller has improved significantly over time. So if we're looking at the original right here, instead of having your bumper buttons right up here that you know now, they of course had the black and white buttons right down here on the side. Man, this is a really comfortable controller. And then your Xbox 360 controller made some improvements. Of course, they put the bumpers here up top. They of course created the famous Xbox home button right here in the center, and of course created their own proprietary wireless system, and of course your battery pack here on the back. And then with the Xbox One controllers, everything got improved again. Everything's a lot more smooth. The D-pad is nice and clicky. They got rid of the battery bump right there. The wireless connectivity is a lot more reliable, and overall everything just feels better. Of course, an Xbox saw the potential of giving gamers something that was a lot more hardcore for their gaming, and that's where we get the Elite Series controller. On this controller, you can customize just about anything. It's got a really nice loud clicky D-pad, premium sticks, and then here on the back you could put in some paddles so that you get some extra button functionality. I don't have mine installed right now. And then of course the current controller, which everybody knows, the controller that they released with the Xbox Series S and X. In very minor ways, I think this is a step down from the Xbox One controller. I personally like having a solid D-pad right here instead of the 8-way, and they did try to do some improvements on this controller. They've got textured triggers and textured hand grips. It's most definitely not a bad controller. However, every single one of these controllers have suffered at some point from stick drift and other flaws. So what is the deal here? Why are all these generations suffering from stick drift? We've seen some internet rumors flying around that Xbox might potentially go to use something in their sticks called Hall Effect joysticks. Well, what the heck is a Hall Effect joystick? Because from the very beginning, Microsoft has used analog joysticks. Just want to say a huge thank you to all of you guys who subscribe to the channel, and if you're not subscribed, consider doing that now. And this is actually the standard that you find in most game controllers nowadays. You guys may remember the very last Sega console, the Sega Dreamcast, and in their controllers, they actually used these Hall Effect sticks. So we are checking out this article here on Windows Central talking all about the Hall Effect controller sticks. The short version is that these joysticks use magnets and electrical conductors to measure their position, whereas analog sticks use electrical resistance to detect movements. That means that the Hall Effect sticks, using magnetic fields, have actually no contact points to wear out. And of course, analog sticks have these rub points, these physical touching points, and of course they wear out a lot faster, which means that you're going to get that stick drift. Now this is actually a really old technology that predates the Dreamcast by almost 100 years. The Dreamcast was famous for using it, and I've never had stick drift issues ever on any of my Dreamcasts that I've owned. Well, that all sounds fine and dandy. Why the heck doesn't Microsoft actually use this technology that was essentially commonplace in 1998? Well, the common negative thought about all this is that Microsoft wants your money because they know these controllers are going to wear out just after the warranty period, and you are going to have to buy another one. There's most definitely a replacement market for this. Most people are not going to tear into their controller and replace the analog connectors so that you can eliminate your stick drift. It's a lot easier to just go down to the store and spend $50 on a brand new Xbox controller. Of course, this means you have controllers that are sitting on your shelf that are essentially useless now. But of course, Microsoft is not alone in this. The Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 5, they still use these analog control sticks. So they are most definitely guilty as well, and a return to the Hall Effect control sticks will give everybody a much longer life on their controllers. Of course, stick drift is the #1 issue, but I've also seen some other issues, especially with my Elite Series 1 controller. My most annoying issue for this controller is this rubber on the back. Might be kind of hard to make out right here, but you can see this rubber is actually separating, and over time these rubber side panels are really bad about just coming off, like the glue just wasn't put on properly, which means that you end up with a controller like this. And by the way, this is very annoying and stabs into your hand while you're playing. Mine absolutely wore out, so I had to buy a replacement of these. And then also right here, you can see that one of my bumpers is kind of hanging by a thread and just kind of dangles there. Now, it's not a huge issue, it does still technically work, but for something that costs like $150, I was kind of let down by the quality of this controller. I hear that the Elite Series 2s are much improved, I however do not own one of those. I've also been very fortunate that not many of my controllers have developed stick drift at all. Now, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore gamer that really puts his controller through a serious workout every time I'm playing a game, but the stick drift issue is common enough for most people that it is something that needs to be fixed. And it appears that the old technology of the Hall Effect joysticks are the proper way for Microsoft to go for future controller stick development. Hey, thank you guys for taking your time to check out my channel. If you want to see some more Xbox videos, you can check out another video that I have made right here.